you're having to Google what you're talking about, which is how I know you don't know what you're talking about.
People typically, when they want to look up information, they Google stuff. Are you saying that Google's not like a reliable source now? A moment ago, you just told me that they didn't have the capability to like shoot American planes or ships or anything. You're objectively wrong. Maybe you should have Googled it. We saw screen caps of their conversations that J.D. Vance confirmed were real. And you're over here like, well, I don't know, maybe it's fake news. Creed, is that you?
Yo.
Oh, I'd recognize that voice. That's Creed. Yeah, talk to me. How do you feel about the this little kerfuffle?
Well, I think it's a pretty interesting situation. I've seen other spins on this because at the end of the day, like what Jeff Goldberg released wasn't classified data. Clearly, that's why he released it. And Jeff Goldberg is just not known for telling the truth. At the end of the day.
Do you understand that the administration has confirmed the authenticity of the signal thread, right?
The texts that were released, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But what does that mean?
You're saying, well, Jeff Goldberg is not an honest reporter, but the administration has already acknowledged that these were real. This is real.
I'm saying the extent of what he's saying could not be honest. I'm not saying that the signal thread isn't real. I'm saying the extent to which he's saying it is. Like, this is the guy that lied about weapons of mass destructions in Iraq.
So you think he's simply making up the did you see like the screenshots of the text thread, by the way?
Yeah, I saw those screenshots.
It was like J.D. Vance.
Those didn't look like classified data. Like,
right. You know why there's no classified information in the article, though, right?
Well, yeah, because if he posted classified information, he'd get arrested.
I don't even know if that's true. If you see a journalist in a signal thread, I don't even know if you're protected from that kind of thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that
if a journalist were to post that information in an article, he would get arrested for that. If you know that data is classified and you leak it.
Okay,
but the thing is,
so you do
came out and say that the whole text thread is unclassified data though, and that's the SecDef.
So you think operational details of a military strike? You don't think that would be classified information?
Do we know that it was operational details? Or I don't know. That's my whole thing. Is like I'm questioning it.
Okay, so what you're going with is you just don't think that this is real. You think that this journalist who clearly had access to a signal thread and published screenshots of the signal thread, you're saying that this journalist is lying about the extent to which they discussed various classified things.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, play a thought experiment with me, okay? Like, let's say that the signal thread is real, and let's just for the sake of this conversation, and let's say that the journalist is not lying, and you had the heads of the FBI, DNI, CIA, the vice president, chief foreign policy advisor to the president, Stephen Miller. Let's say all of these people were discussing operational details of these strikes in Yemen over a signal thread. Unbeknownst to them, they had CC'd a journalist. Do you think that reflects poorly on them if that's true?
If it were to be true, I mean, yeah, there'd be huge issues. There'd be huge legal issues on top of all of that.
Like what? Can you expand on that for me?
Well, I mean, just you're not allowed to say classified data over those unclassified networks.
What would be the risk, like, of this sort of information getting out? Like, what
the risk of that? The risk of that, in this specific case, probably no risk. But
no risk.
In this case, probably no risk because it's the Houthis. If you like, I mean, they're just not like it, they don't no.
You don't think there would have been any risk to American personnel that were on like aircraft carriers and
No.
Do you think maybe your bias is kind of showing right now?
I mean, I think there's just a level of war that you don't really comprehend the technologies that are used in war.
So if I send
okay, so this is the case. If we fly a plane over their head and drop a bomb and we tell them that we're going to do that beforehand, what risk what risk is there?
There's always a risk of harm or death to American personnel if you give advance notice to your enemy, like where those personnel are going to be.
Yeah. But I'm saying like, just play along with me. I'll play along with you. So you call in an airstrike. What risk is there if you call in an airstrike, but you let them know that you call in an airstrike?
If you tell your enemy, here, my plane is going to be in this exact spot in this exact time frame.
That's not what they're saying. That's not what you can't even say that over text. You don't even know where it will exactly be.
Did you read the article?
I can't read the Atlantic article. I'm not going to subscribe to it.
Okay, so in the article, it lays out, like, he doesn't include what was like all the classified stuff or all the sensitive information, but they had really granular details, like exact moments. That's what he's saying. Exact strikes.
That's what he's saying.
Yes.
But guess what, Hutch? This is the exact same guy that said that there were WMDs in Iraq.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything right now.
It's not. He's a proven liar. Like that is what that means. Like they have
the administration are not. The administration has not disputed anything that's in the thread. They've not come out and said, like, this is.
They have came out and said that what was in that thread was unclassified data. They have came out and said that in the statement. I posted that to one of your followers on your X page. And he got quiet.
What if they're lying? What if the administration's lying? Yeah. Would you call for these heads of these agencies to resign?
I think that'd be a huge issue. Yeah.
Would you call for them to resign?
If they're releasing unclassified info like that, I think that's a huge issue. Would
you call for them to resign? Would you say that we can't have this in the Trump administration? It's making our jobs harder and making the president look bad and putting American soldiers at risk.
Well, putting American soldiers at risk, we kind of just said that wasn't really a thing right there.
It blows my mind that you don't understand the risk of telling people, like, your enemy exactly where you're going to be. It blows my mind.
I mean, it's
not that the Houthis don't have rockets that they can fire.
Rockets aren't hitting a plane, Hutch. Like, are you talking about
rockets aren't hitting planes? What?
They have SAMs. They have surface to air missiles. Is that what you're talking about? Missiles?
We can hold on. Did you just say that rockets don't hit planes?
Are you talking about?
They possess a substantial arsenal of missiles and drones, including Birkin 3, Batter P1, and Frog 7 rockets, which are used for various military operations. Additionally, they've been known to use anti-ship ballistic missiles and guided rockets.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how?
Wait, is that? Are you saying that's a lie too? Do you not notice that, like, when you're presented with information that may challenge your side, your instinct is to be like, oh well, that's just like
saying you're having to Google what you're talking about, which is how I know you don't know what you're talking about.
People typically, when they want to look up information, they Google stuff. Are you saying that Google's not like a reliable source now?
If you have,
do you Google stuff?
If you have to sit there and Google something that you say because you don't know what you're talking about, and then
a moment ago you just told me that they didn't have the capability to, like, shoot American planes or ships or anything. You're objectively wrong. Maybe you should have Googled it.
Shooting a ship is different.
Maybe you should have Googled it.
I just don't think you understand like the technology that goes behind things. Like,
no, but seriously though, like, do you not see within yourself
spectrum?
Do you not observe?
You think political science is like a science, basically? Do
you not observe within your own, like, tendencies within your own self, this instinct that you have to, like, reject by any means necessary any information that may challenge your sort of established view? Like, you have this established. Let me explain it to you, okay? I mean, I should have dumbed it down. I'm sorry. I'm talking to a MAGA person. I should break this down into a lot simpler terms. Okay, so like let's
probably have more degrees than you. Let's calm down.
Okay, so for example, here's what I'm going to say. Your established belief system is that Trump is this, like, really capable, strong leader who would not make mistakes like these. Like, you've been saying this sort of thing about Biden. That's what I assume is what you think of Donald Trump, right? Like, he's a strong leader.
No, that's a terrible assumption to assume that no one makes mistakes. Why would I assume that no one makes mistakes?
Okay.
I've came on here.
Is your assumption not that Donald Trump is a really competent president in ways that Biden was not? Like Biden was this laughably inept president, right?
That's clear. That's
okay. So there's your view, right? Like Donald Trump, his administration is not the type that would make this kind of mistake, right? Like that's your established view. And so now when you have these new facts that come in and challenge, your instinct is to reject it by any means necessary. So you attack the journalist and you say, well, he reported incorrectly on this thing 20 years ago. Or you'll come up with any kind of like way to deflect new information.
He's reported on things inaccurately more recently as well.
So why would you CC him in on Signal Thread then?
So that's what I was talking about when I first came on here.
Mm-hmm.
The first statement that I made was, I've seen some interesting spins on this.
Interesting is such a non-word. You realize that? If you're going to try to make a defense of what they did, then make the defense. What spin are you talking about here? They CC'd a journalist, while discussing operational details of a military strike, and you needed this laid out for you like you're in fifth grade.
You don't know that though, Hutch. That's the thing. You're going off the.
So this is fake. This is fake news.
Who is a proven liar?
So this is fake news. That's what you're saying. This is fake news, right?
We already established my viewpoint on this, Hutch.
But this is fake. This is fake news. Here, let's try something. We already
established that, yes, I believe a threat exists.
Let's try something, okay?
We did establish that, yes,
I want you to
Jeffrey
experience.
Goldberg is a proven liar.
I want you to experience what it's like having a conversation with dipshits like you guys, okay? So I want you to give me like.
That's crazy. So
I want you to give me. I have a degree in your mom. So I want you to tell me like.
So that's my
give me a criticism. Hold on. Let's just do an experiment real quick, okay? Let's do an experiment real quick. Just work with me on this one.
Nah, I mean, you're like one of those people that are like you're like uneducated yourself.
That's right.
And you say because the Liberal Party.
That's right.
Has more education overall, like more educated people.
We tend to be smarter.
Right now, we tend
to be smarter than you on average. Yeah.
So you take their accomplishments and apply that to yourself, thinking that you're like them.
Well, me? No, I'm pretty silly. I can acknowledge that. I'm a silly guy. I'm a college dropout. But I want you to do an exercise with me, okay? I want you to understand what it's like.
Calling me a dipshit. I want an engineer. So what are we talking about?
And Ben Carson is a neurosurgeon, and he also thinks like the Earth. He also thinks the Earth is like 7,000 years. So I don't know what to tell. The people are contradictions. What are you going to say? So like here, I want you to give me any kind of criticism that you have about Biden. I just want you to like experience what I experience. Okay, so just go ahead. Like if you were going to criticize Biden, what would you say?
If I were going to criticize Biden, what would I say?
Yeah.
There's a lot. He's just incompetent.
Where'd you hear that he was incompetent?
I saw it for myself on TV.
Oh, you mean the news? You mean the fake news?
No, I mean.
Is that what you mean? You saw it on the fake news, and you think that that's going to convince me?
I saw it on the debate against Trump.
I'm sorry. Who aired that debate? ABC? You're talking about liberal media right now? That's fake news. Don't come to me with fake news. This is what it's like having conversations with you guys. You understand that? This is what it's like. Man. You just do that ad infinitum, like just over and over and over and over again.
I mean, you tried to do it well, but you didn't.
But give me any other critique that you have of him. Go ahead.
All right. He can't ride a bike.
Wait, hold on. Where did you see that bike crash?
I saw it live in person.
You were there in person?
Yeah.
I don't know how to come back from that one. That's pretty rock solid if you actually saw it. Don't you think it's kind of interesting though? Like your instinct is to just like find a way to reject this like information. So it can't be that Donald Trump hired the most incompetent people you could possibly imagine. Who would do something so profoundly inept. It's not possible that Donald Trump would appoint people like that. Therefore, this guy has to be lying, right? Like it's fake news. We saw screen caps of their conversations that J.D. Vance confirmed were real. And you're over here like, well, I don't know, maybe it's fake news.
That's not what I said. I did not say that part is fake news. I did not say that part was.
You said the rest of it is fake news. So these screen caps are real, but he's lying about the rest of everything he said.
He's lying about the extent of, like, saying specific positions and all that stuff. Come on now.
Really, why isn't Ratcliffe pushing back in this hearing that we're watching right now? Well, why isn't Ratcliffe saying that none of those things were discussed?
What's he saying?
He's confirming that he was in the signal thread, and he's trying to make excuses for why they were in the signal thread. He was like, well, you know, this is standard CIA policy. Like, you figure if the guy was lying, Goldberg was lying about, like, operational details being shared, Ratcliffe would just come out the gate and say, like, none of that happened, it's all fake.
I mean, that's not really how those proceedings work, though. What
do you mean? Of course it is.
A lot of those.
Of course it is.
Not really. I mean, they answer questions that they're asked.
Oh, it was good talking with you, Creed.
All right, man.
Bye-bye. Unbelievable. MAGA. I swear to God.
President, are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships. Not only our ships, ships all over the world, they're shooting down right out of the water.
Uh-oh, Creed.
And damaging them badly, or they're going down.
Are you still here, Creed?
Anything that happens to be flying in the area, we hit them very, very hard.
Uh-oh. That's embarrassing.
No classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use. And I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that?
Oh, boy.
Yes, Mr. President. You asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president.
What?
Russia hoax, or making up lies about Gold Star families. And
this is the guy who, by the way, invited the journalist into the thread.
With, and we are.
It was literally his fault.
We are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes.
You
President
invited him.
Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. Pinprick attacks, months between them, our destroyers being fired upon dozens of times. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team, took out the head missileer, knocked out missiles, knocked out headquarters, knocked out communication sites. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. You're welcome.
Oh my God.
And we had a national security team that was coordinating these efforts, as Director Ratcliffe testified today. His first day on the job, he was introduced to this app on his government systems at the CIA and at the State Department and otherwise. So, look, this journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes and this kind of nonsense, rather than the freedom that you're enabling. And a key part of our sovereignty is open sea lanes and knocking the crap out of terrorists, which is exactly what your team and Pete Hegseth, a good friend and fellow veteran, is leading the charge on, and it's an honor.
We had a very, very successful, we had a very, very successful evening, and we've had numerous successful evenings and days in that area. The Houthis are absolutely on the run. The worst of them has been killed. This should have been done a long time ago by Biden, but Biden was an incompetent president. He couldn't do anything. He didn't know where he was going. He had no clue. This guy had no clue. This should have been done a long time ago. As they shoot missiles at ships, randomly shoot missiles at ships, and they make their own missiles. You know, this is not an incompetent group of people. They make their own missiles.
Creed, oh no.
Missiles also from Iran. It's an offshoot of Iran.
Creed is pissing and shitting right now.
Hamas, you have Hezbollah, you have the Houthis, you got a lot of stuff going on with Iran. And we sent a letter to Iran. You're going to have to be speaking to us one way or the other pretty soon, because we can't let this happen. But that's an app that a lot of people use, and somebody got on. I mean, happened to know the guy's a total sleazebag.
How did
The
a reporter get added
Atlantic,
to
the
that
Atlantic
chat?
is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. It gives,
This is
it gives
so
it a little
pathetic,
bit of, a shot. And I will tell you this, that they've made up more stories, and they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly. He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way.
I want you to
It's
ask
going
him, what do you
go
think
on.
of J.D. Vance saying he thought you didn't understand what you were doing?
That it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
Do you worry that national security was put at risk, Mr. President?
Of senior officials using signal.
Do I
moving
plan to
forward.
ban who?
The use of signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it. And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot. It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully. But sometimes somebody
plan
can get onto those
attacks?
things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the situation room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly. But the best is to be there. In fact, oftentimes I've been in fact, just last week I was in the situation room on something very important, and we had a couple of people hooked up by line, and I said, cancel the line. Sorry, fellas, what you do is we'll tell you all about the meeting, because I know people do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or anything else. Yeah.
So are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
Well, I mean, look, we look at everything, and they've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. We are bringing in business. We have another one announced tomorrow, a big one, very big. Like in the history of our country, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think probably a lot of people are saying they started by saying it was the greatest first month that a president has ever had, and I think that's true.
Many people
And
are
now
saying.
they say it's the best second month, and they had to find something. And this certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified.
Nothing happened because the journalists had the good sense to not reveal this information.
It's probably a little bit different, but I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael.
Unfair. He invited the journalists into the thread.
The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct
Would
an
it be a
investigation,
problem if
Mr.
the
President.
Atlantic released all the text messages if they're not classified?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask the military about that, because maybe you wouldn't want that. I don't know. I will say this: that from what I heard,
Yes!
the man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of, he left. He found it very boring, and he left early. He got off the line.
That is
very
not
early.
the story.
So I can't speak to it other than that. So he's made up a lot of stories, and I think he's basically bad for the country. But
Oh, God, they're just
it's a
egging him
failing
on
venture,
to
very
release.
failing venture. They're very upset, and a thing like this is publicity for them. But
Please,
I don't
Mr.
think
Goldberg,
we should
release the
allow
whole
people
thing,
that are
bro.
good, like that man sitting right at the end of the table, who's done a great job. We shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Mr. President,
Can I follow up on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you saying you're okay with the continued use of Signal by administration officials?
No, that's not what I said. I said we'll look into it, but everybody else seems to be using it. It seems to be the #1 used device or app, whatever you want to call it, and we will certainly look. If it was up to me, everybody would be sitting in a room together. The room would have solid lead walls and a lead ceiling and a lead floor. But
If it's
life
only
doesn't
been
always
3
let you
months
do
into
that.
the Trump
In the
admin,
meantime,
the next
attack
4 years
itself
are going to be
that we
wild.
were
This is
talking
what
about and
happens when you
discussing has
appoint
been
an alcoholic
unbelievable
weekend morning
success.
talk show host to lead the largest military the world has ever known. Also, Jimmy's mom should slob on my
I
knob.
want to look
Is that the
into
FBI or
anything
who
like
did
that. I would ask them. It's not really an FBI thing. It's really something having to do with security. Security, like will somebody be able to break in? Are people able to break into conversations? And if that's true, we're going to have to find.
They were
some
not
other
broken
form
in.
of,
They were
device. And I
invited.
think that's something that we may have to do. some people like Signal very much. Other people probably don't. But we'll look into it. I think, Michael, I've asked you to immediately study that and find out. If people are able to break into a system, now in this case it wasn't that this attack was going on and nobody found out anything. And again, the person that was on, as I understand it, he left very early because he didn't find it very exciting.
That's not why he left.
I think it's something you should look into.
Yes, sir, we are. We have our technical experts looking at it. We have our legal teams looking at it. And of course, we're going to keep everything as secure as possible. No one in your national security team would ever put anyone in danger. And as you've said, and we've repeatedly said,
you did.
The attack was phenomenal and it's ongoing. But the media wants to talk about everything else except for the hostages you're getting out of the Middle East, Iran on its back foot, sea lanes getting reopened, peace in Europe. As we just saw today with the Black Sea
Peace in
ceasefire,
Europe?
we were just on with Steve Witkoff, myself, our team in Saudi Arabia. They want to talk about all this other stuff except for your amazing successes and the successes.
Oh man, this guy's fighting for his job.
Things, and sometimes you have
That
to
man
go
is
very
fighting for
quickly,
his
and
job.
There are other devices that are very good, but they are very, very cumbersome, and you're not able to use them, and from a practical standpoint. So all we can do is find out the best we have with modern technology. They'll probably get better over the years. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, on the Black Sea, so the Kremlin has said that there are several conditions that would need to be met for this agreement to happen. This includes sanction relief for banks and some companies. Did the U.S. agree to all of those conditions that they laid out?
They will be looking at them, and we're thinking about all of them right now. There are about 5 or 6 conditions. We're looking at all of them.
Said that it's looking into how journalists got added to that Signal chat. Is it possible that there could be a firing of even a lower mid-level official once that person is identified?
About what?
About the Signal chat that we've been discussing.
We've pretty much looked into it. It's pretty simple, to be honest. It's not. It's just
really
something
okay.
That can happen. It can
How'd it happen?
You can even prepare for it. It can happen. Sometimes people are hooked in, and you don't know they're hooked in. They're hooked into your line.
What are you talking about?
By it, but it's not a perfect technology. There is no perfect technology. The really good ones are very cumbersome, very hard to access. And I think we're going to look at. We always want to use the best technology. This was the best technology for the moment. But again, it wasn't classified, so they probably viewed it as being something that wasn't that important. And it obviously
Goldberg, release the text, bro. Do it.
I mean,
Please do it.
I don't know if it's been read out to you yet, but that attack was a tremendous success for the U.S. A tremendous success.
Who said the information? Who said the information
Go ahead,
was
please.
not classified?
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect.
What?
Probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
That's sir. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
A lot of times you find out defects by exactly things like that.
It's not a defect.
I don't think it's something
He invited him.
Looking forward to using again. We may be forced to use it. You may be in a situation where you need speed as opposed to gross safety, and you may be forced to use it. But I think we probably won't be using it very much.
Secretary of Defense, on that train, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and J.D Vance, the Vice President, said that the Europeans were freeloading. Do you agree with that assessment?
Do you really want me to answer?
Yes,
Yeah, I think they've been freeloading. The European Union's been absolutely terrible to us on trade, terrible. And as you know, NATO, I got them to pay hundreds of billions of dollars. They were way behind. And if you look if you look at Ukraine, so we're in for $350 billion because of Biden. Should have never happened, this war. Should have, all these dead people.
That number just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Cities that are demolished down to the ground, those gorgeous towers, the most beautiful in the world, the most beautiful spires in the world. The spires in Ukraine were said to be the most beautiful of all. Just about every one of them is lying on its side in a million pieces. It's so sad to see what's happened to a heritage. No, I think that when they say the European Union and you could say NATO also. Look, NATO, and I don't blame NATO for this. I don't blame Europe for this. I blame Biden for the fact that he didn't make them equalize. And to this day, I said to him, you got to catch up, you got to equalize. But why are they in for $100 billion and we're in for possibly $350 billion? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And you could say more important for them because we have an ocean in between. So, you know, it's...
Has the EU not given more?
Liberation Day, I call it Liberation Day in America. You're going to be seeing on April 2nd. Didn't want to do it on April 1st for the obvious reason, April 2nd. But you'll be seeing tariffs. And I think I've been very fair. I have them set. But I think I've been very fair.
$145 billion
economically for many, many decades.
Mr. President, also that information was not classified.
Another question.
Which of your national
Please,
security
go ahead.
advisors?
Just following up on your comments on.
Oh, she's great, man.
Is reporting that consumer confidence fell for the 4th straight month. What is your message to Americans who are concerned about?
Well, I know this, that for the first time
It's amazing, man.
like 50 years, right track, wrong track. We're on
I'm
the
seeing
right
that
track.
the EU has given close
And I think
to
people see that.
200 billion
And,
total.
if you look at prices, prices are way down. You know, when I first came here, the first time
I think we've given 150 billion. I don't know.
They were screaming at me about eggs. I said, I've been here for a week and I'm being yelled at about eggs. Egg prices have come down 45–50% in the last week and a half. And our Secretary of Agriculture has done a great job. As you know, Brooke, she's done a fantastic job, and others working with her have done a great job. But we brought eggs down at a level that nobody thought we could get at. I inherited that situation, and I inherited a grocery situation. The groceries went way up, an old-fashioned word, but it's a very descriptive word. Groceries have gone through the roof. And I used to campaign on it. I used to say, we're going to get groceries down, and we have got it down. I watched a certain newscast over the weekend, and a congressman, Democrat congressman, said, well, Trump's done a lot. I agree. He's been great on the border. He's been great on the military. But, you know, he hasn't brought prices down. That's false. Gasoline's way down. Eggs are way down. Groceries are down very substantially, but down. Almost everything's down. Now, I'd like to see interest rates come down a little bit, and you're going to see billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars coming into our country very soon in the form of tariffs, because we were abused by presidents that, frankly, in all fairness, it wasn't their expertise, but they had no idea what they were doing.
Mr. President, you say tariffs will create more jobs here in America.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's going to agree. It'll create a lot of money and more jobs. But if you look, so in the last, these gentlemen would know about it, and ladies, because some of the ladies are great businessmen in this room that are becoming ambassadors. Great, really great, top of the line.
He had to catch himself there. Oh shit, there's women in here.
Number of companies that have said, like, we're close to, I would say close to $4 trillion. We never had numbers like that. The #1 chip maker in the world from Taiwan coming in with $200 billion. We have Apple. Look at Apple. $500 billion. $500 billion. They're going to build plants all over the United States. They were all being built in China. You have many, many companies, and maybe above all, you have the car companies coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have Honda is opening up one of the biggest plants in the world in Indiana, and many car companies are coming in. We have AI. We're leading China by a lot in AI, and we're going to keep it that way because we've made it very good for them, and we're going to protect them. Once they're here, we'll protect them through taxes, through incentives, and also through tariffs. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
It didn't disappoint. The North Korean applause. Wow. Did not disappoint